We'll start with the lesson. ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथपूजितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीशाखावितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेमाप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरात्मसे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी कृष्णानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण। So last time we covered which sloka? 17 and 18, right? So we'll have a quick recap. 17, the Lord says that which pervades the entire body, you should know to be indestructible, and no one is able to destroy an imperishable soul. Right. So we discussed three things here. Pervades entire body. Right. How it pervades entire body. Like sun sign pervades the whole solar system. Sun. It's situated at one place, right? But with its rays, it pervades the whole solar system, right? Or even we can't see sun from the room, but still sunshine is here. अगर आप light बंद भी कर दोगे तो भी you are still able to see the light, right? So that's how the soul also pervades the body through, like sun pervades the places through sunshine. How does soul pervades the entire body? Through what? Consciousness, right? So that is one thing which we discussed. Then indestructible, that it can never be destroyed. We discussed the reason why it cannot be destroyed. What was the reason? बिल्कुल आज काफी डिस्ट्रैक्टिव एग्जाम. What is the reason that soul cannot be destroyed? Soul is spirit, okay? Great. So it cannot be killed by material weapons or material things, right? Because it's a spirit. One thing is that. Another thing, its size. It's so small that no material weapon can actually kill it. जैसे if you have to kill an ant, क्या आप वो तोप का गोला लेके जाओगे? Right? Doesn't work. मतलब मे बी आंट मर जाए, बट यहाँ पे ऐसा नहीं होगा because it's a spirit. Right? But आंट के साथ बहुत सारे आंट्स मरेंगे. You can't target one ant with that तोप का गोला. और हो सकता है कि it will not work. Right? Then we discussed that imperishable, that it never gets perished. And these three things we discussed. So like the sun, it uh, it sights the whole all the planets of the whole solar system. Like in an appliance, battery appliance, take this laptop for an example, right? We have the battery and all the systems in the laptop that runs through the battery. Even though all systems are running separately, but it's a battery which provides the source, the electric current of it. Right. Same way, the heart, the soul, it pervades the whole body, and through consciousness, it gives the consciousness or the yeah, it gives the consciousness to the whole body, right? So that is the source of energy for our body. Then we discussed what is the most important part of the body, that is heart, not brain, right? Because even people, when they are brain dead, they are not considered dead, right? There have been cases that brain dead people also come alive. Rarely, but there have been cases. But when the heart stops, that is the actual time when someone says that this person is dead. Right. So heart is the most important part of the body, and that's why the soul lives in the heart. Right. And yeah, soul lives in the heart. Now, heart, how does consciousness goes through the body or across the body? Through your blood. Right. Blood carries oxygen. We're using the red blood cells, and that is what which spreads the consciousness across the whole body. So these are the things we discussed there. Then the soul, what happens in the heart transplant? Does the soul changes the seat? So we discussed that it will not. It is just like a driver is changing the car, right? So heart is nothing but a casing, a material casing for the soul. But when the heart transplant happens to a person, it does not really changes the soul. Then we discussed about size of the soul. What is the size of the soul? So we have one by 10,000 of the tip of the hair. That is the size of the soul. But means our Shastra says that you take hair, take a tip of it, divide into 100 parts, take one part, divide again into 100 parts. That is the size of the soul, that minute. And that's why material weapons actually cannot work on that. It's that small that we cannot even assume the size of it. That okay. And yeah. So we discussed this particular verse, which will be coming in 13th chapter. That Kshetrajnam chapimam vidhi sarv kshetresu bharata. When this body is considered as field, the field of activities, right? And the soul is the knower of the field of activities, knower of this field. Like a farmer is knower of the field, right? The farmer knows what's in the field, where are the crops, where are the water exit and entry points, and all those things. So same way, the soul, which is a farmer of this field, it knows the activities of the body, what's happening. But two things here. Even the soul does not know that detailed, or it also has a limited consciousness, right? It has limited consciousness means it knows on the high level what is happening on the body. Okay, I can understand that I'm eating something and I'm getting energy. I cannot understand how molecules are breaking inside, how it is getting converted into ATP and we are getting energy. All those things we cannot understand. So this also has a limited consciousness. But there is another thing in the body, right? There are two types of soul in the body. One is soul, soul and super soul, right? Atma and Paramatma, what we call. So while Atma sees on the higher level what is happening, it is the knower of the body. There is something called Paramatma, right? Who is like we give the example here. Atma drives the car, or the driver drives the car. It thinks that I'm the owner, I'm driving the car, right? I can take wherever I want. But that is true until some extent. But if there is a passenger behind, right, and owner of the car, it is actually wish of the owner of the car where he wants to take the car. He says that take me to office. The driver cannot take anywhere else. If he is taking it, uh, it's actually deviating from what he should do, what a driver should do, and that's what we actually do. So Paramatma is like sitting behind the Atma and overseeing all the activities what it's doing. It keeps on guiding us. The Paramatma keeps on guiding us, but then हम बेशरम हम नहीं सुनते परमात्मा की, and that's why we are suffering in this world. So our Shastra says that the body is like a yantra. Yantra means a machine where there is a driver which drives that particular body, and there is a passenger or there is another one who is overseeing all the activity. So you can see here, this particular Atma is driving the body happily, and what it's seeing in the mirror is like himself. Right? That is a bodily consciousness. Like he's saying that I am the body. That's what the Atma is thinking. And doing the things according to body. Right? But behind the Paramatma is there and he's overseeing, okay. And that actually, this particular picture also explains the free will. We all have free will. Even though we have Paramatma in our body, we have free will. So it should not be taken as like because Paramatma is there, so he is the one who is doing everything. Whatever bad thing I'm doing, I'm not responsible. The passenger, I'm just the driver. No, we still have free will. Even though if I'm saying to my driver, take me to the office, उसका मन किया तो he can take other route, ठीक, or he can stop somewhere, petrol pump पे, चाय पीना है, बिस्किट खाना है, whatever. He can do whatever it want, right? So, और थोड़ा if it is even though driver cannot overpower here, in our case, driver cannot, Atma cannot overpower Paramatma, but because the Paramatma has given us free will, so it's like, देखो, तो मुझे 2-4 घंटे में पहुंचा दो ऑफिस, ठीक है, ऑफिस जाना है, बस स्वाइप करके आ जाना है, ठीक, जैसे IBM में होता है, right? Just let me reach there, you take your time. So, driver will be either उधर घूमते घामते जहां भी जाना होगा, it will take its time. So that's what we do. And we discussed that story about Brahma, where very quickly I'll just give a recap, where Brahma even forgot, the Brahma of our universe forgot about Krishna. He thought Krishna as an ordinary boy after this Leela. So Brahma Vimohan Leela. Right? He thought Krishna as an ordinary boy. And then when he realized, after long events, after a year, when he realized, then he came asking for forgiveness. And then Krishna says that even the most powerful Brahma of all material universe cannot understand a fragment of me. Right? We have Chatusmukhi Brahma. Right? There are million hidden Brahma also in some other universe, which are way bigger universe than ours. Right? So he said even that Brahma cannot understand a fragment of me. So who are we? Right? Just a lesson for us. We try to understand, दिखाओ भगवान को दिखाओ, मुझे भगवान को समझना है. We cannot even understand. वो fragment नहीं समझ सकते तो हमको तो fragment का भी put divide by 1 lakh times we cannot understand. Right? So yeah, these all things we discussed here. In this verse, we'll again come to this one again, right? Yeah, these all things we already covered. We discussed that how again consciousness, how it is spread. So there are 4-5 types of vayus in our body, how it works. आप फोटो प्रभु जी से ले सकते हैं यार. बहुत सारे लोगों ने इसकी फोटो ली थी. You can take from anyone who wants, right? And that's how, along with that, oxygen, right? How oxygen goes through the body. So there are different. What our Ayurveda explains, there are 5 different types of vayu in our body which runs the show. How body runs. So we all discussed this, and then 2.18 we discussed the material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and the eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. Therefore, O descendant of Bharata, 5. That soul is never going to be destroyed. And material body is anyway going to be destroyed. Right? So why do you worry? Both of the outcomes are certain. Bhisu, Pitama and Drona are anyway going to be killed. They are anyway, their body is going to be destroyed. And their soul anyway will not be finished. It is eternal. So why do you worry? Go and fight. That's what Krishna is asking. So 3 words came here. Nitya. Nityasya Yukta. Right. Anasino. Nitya means eternal. Anasino, jiska nash nahi hota. Right. Cannot be destroyed. And then Aprameyasya, which is immeasurable. Right. Eternal, cannot be destroyed, and immeasurable. So we discussed that whose body is this? Whose body is this? Soul's body. Right. And because it's soul's body, so just having, like, the body is not really important. What is important is the soul. Right. And yeah, so how does this verse help Arjuna? The same thing. then Bhishma Pitama Dronacharya is anyway going to be killed, right? And their soul is never going to be destroyed. So go and fight, because that's a duty. Being a Kshatriya, that's a duty of Arjuna to go and fight. So even if he is not going to kill them, they are going to be killed later. So we discussed something about aprameyasya. Like just in previous verse, we discussed the size of the soul. Then how can Krishna says in this verse that it is aprameyasya? Prameyasya means immeasurable. So what was the reason that it is immeasurable? Because we cannot measure by material scale, right? And it is more of a it was more of a for our understanding that it's that small that we cannot actually imagine the size of it, right? That's where it was given like that. And then how can we say that it is immeasurable, then it exists or not? So we discussed the three ways of gaining knowledge. Pratyaksh Praman, that seeing is believing, but that is not always true. All the mirage, optical illusions, a lot of things, ultraviolet rays, and all those things we cannot see. Doesn't mean doesn't exist. Anuman Praman, everyone can think of something on their own understanding. That doesn't make it true. Right. So that anyway is not true. Then how to believe? Sabda Praman. Like a father teaches or parent teaches its child when they are small, left leg way left shoes, you wear left shoes in left leg, you wear right shoes in right leg. They don't ask. Or when at the school it is taught to us like 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. We don't ask, right? We just simply go ahead. And when we understand later on, then we understand, okay, yeah, that was true. So Sabda Praman, when it comes from authority, bona fide authority, it has to be taken as is, because those are the people who have the experience of it. So, so why was the body given to the soul? We discussed that one. Either we can enjoy, have all the material enjoyments, or we can use the body to remember God, to do the bhakti and get out of this world. The choice is ours, right? What we want. The same thing is mentioned in the purport. So, in the conclusion, it was neither the jiva nor the body is any worth of lamentation, right? Because jiva is anyway going to destroy. Jiva is anyway eternal, and body is anyway going to be destroyed, right? And soul never dies, and body always dies. That was the so. Uh, yeah. So the realization which we have to come to, that we are not this body but the spirit soul. So there we finished last time. So today we'll go to the 2.19 and 2.20. Right. These two verses we'll cover today. Before we go to the verse, let me start with a story. Right. So once upon a time, all story starts with once upon a time. Right. So once upon a time, there was a murderer, and that murderer was brought to court. He was brought to court because he did some murder. Police caught him, and he was brought to the court. Right? After saying order, 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 everyone was sat down. Okay, okay. Sab chup ho gaye. The proceeding started, and then the judge asked the question to the murderer: why did you kill Mr. John or any person X? Let's call him Mr. John Doe. Right? Why did you kill Mr. John? So before murderer can answer, the Bhagavad Gita was brought in front of him. And you were like, मैं भगवत गीता पे हाथ रख के कसम खाता हूँ कि मैं जो कहूँगा सच के सिवा कुछ नहीं कहूँगा. We have seen in a lot of movies, right? I take oath on Bhagavad Gita, whatever I say will be truth. Truth and only truth, nothing else. So he took an oath on Bhagavad Gita, right? And then the judge asked, why did you kill Mr. John? He said, I did not kill Mr. John. But he said something which we are going to recite. Right? So, ya enam vetti hantaram yaschainam manyate hatam ubhautau na vijanito nayam hanti na hanyate. Ya enam vetti hantaram यश्चैनं मन्यते हतम् उभौ तौ न विजानीतो नायं हन्ति न हन्यते. Anyone from the system? Toss correct. य एनं वेत्ति हन्तारम् यश्चैनं मन्यते हतम् उभौ तौ न विजानीतो नायं हन्ति न हन्यते. Anyone from Mataji? नायेनं वेत्ति हन्तारम् यश्चैनं मन्यते हतम् उभौ तौ न विजानीतो नायं हन्ति न हन्यते. So translation by His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada. So the murderer said, right after reciting this verse, then this means the judge asked, what does it mean? Okay. He said, I just took an oath on Bhagavad Gita, so I'll quote Bhagavad Gita. This means that neither he who thinks the living entity the slayer, nor he who thinks it's slain is in knowledge. For the self slays, nor is slain. But ज़्यादा typical है, तो I'll just put into simple words. Those who think that the living entity or soul is killing, right, is killed, like they're killing someone, or those who think that the living entity or soul is killed, right, the living entity who is killing or the living entity who is killed, those who think these two things, both of them are not in knowledge, because soul is neither killed nor kills, right. That's the point he told in the code, that I am a soul, I cannot kill. This is what Bhagavad Gita says, which I took oath from. And the person you are saying that the person is killed, he is not killed. Because that's what Bhagavad Gita says. Soul cannot be killed and soul cannot kill. Right? So I'm not the killer. Right? That's what it means, right? Those who think that the living entity or the soul is killing, right, or the living entity kills, or those who think that the living entity or the soul is killed, right, both of them are not in knowledge, because soul is neither killer nor killed. Exactly. So yeah, when you read Krishna book, I think someone would have read it. In the first chapter itself, Kansa gave a long lecture. Actually, Vasudev, Vasudev Maharaj, he gives a long lecture, right, on this thing. And Kansa also repeats, but that's true, right? All those knowledge are past, but then we know both are, like we know Kansa how. The same thing happened with Hiranyakashipu also. When Hiranyaksh was dead, Hiranyakashipu gave a long lecture to the wife of Hiranyaksh, that it is not it is not Hiranyaksh which is killed. His soul is eternal and this and that, all those things. So it actually reflects our world. Knowledge सबको पता है soul. ठीक है, soul का game क्या होता है, we are not killed, this and that, but then follow कोई नहीं करता. Right. So the same thing kind of here. Now so any question, right? अभी भी confusion हम आते हैं. आगे हम डिस्कस करेंगे. मैडम तो किया ना उसने. तो ये हम डिस्कस करेंगे आगे कि बस आप स्टोरी सुनते जाइए, आप स्टोरी में रहिए, ठीक. उसने तो गीता पे हाथ रख के कसम खाई और उसने वर्स कोट किया कि भगवान ये कहते हैं, ठीक. तो आई एम नॉट द किलर एंड आई एम नॉट किल्ड एनीवन, राइट. दिस इज व्हाट लॉर्ड कृष्णा सेज दैट. नाउ इंटरेस्टिंग थिंग अबाउट वर्स इज, in Katha Upanishad, the same verse comes in a little bit different wordings, right? हंता चेन्मन्यते हंतुम, हतस चेन्मन्यते हतम, उभौ तौ विजानीतो नायम हंति न हन्यते. The second line is exactly same, right? Even the second quarter is also same. Hanyan yes chainam manyate hatam. So that also is here, right? So here also it says that if the killer thinks he kills, or if the killed man thinks he is killed, neither of these apprehends. All right. The self kills not, nor it is killed. Self means soul. Soul doesn't kill. Soul cannot be killed. Right. So Katha Upanishad also has exactly same thing, and we'll see later also like how these a couple 2-3 verses are exactly same as Katha Upanishad. Right. So what does it say that? Now coming to the point, coming to your question, that this verse is not meant to be understood by the self-realized. It is meant to be understood only by self-realized people. Who are self-realized people? हाँ? जो तत्व को जानते हैं, ओके? क्या तत्व? ओके, तो मतलब जो भगवान को जानते हैं, who knows about Krishna, they are self-realized. How does it say that it's self-realized? Self-realized. इसमें भगवान कहाँ है? हाँ, तो self मतलब you realize first, before you know God, you have to realize that you are soul. Right? Then only you can understand relationship with God, right? So self-realized matlab the people who know about the soul. Only they can actually understand this verse. Otherwise, what will happen? What just happened? The murderer, what he just did. I did not kill anyone. Right. So now again coming to the point, like why a soul cannot be killed? He says that a soul cannot be killed. Why a soul cannot be killed? We just discussed. So because of its size, it's so minute that material things cannot affect it. Right. One thing is that. What else? कृष्ण भगवान ने स्वयं बोला है तो इसलिए नहीं हो सकता. बट क्यों बोला होगा? There is one very important thing. Before you go to material thing, or after you go to material thing, you have to reach there. Why soul is indestructible? Why soul cannot be killed? It's a part and parcel of Krishna. That means it is eternal. Right. That's why it cannot be killed. It's eternal. Now, the war is happening in Kurukshetra. And Arjuna is now shooting arrows. A lot of people are getting killed. Then who are getting killed? Right. It's the body which is getting killed, not the soul. So when we say as the killer, like the killer say that I did not kill anyone, yes, he did not kill the soul. But the case is not about killing the soul. The case is about killing the body. Right? So it means uh, it means that was he justified? Is he justified? Like when he says that I did not kill anyone or no one is actually got killed, did he justify himself? How he did not? Like what is the fallacy here? What is the problem here when he says that I did not kill anyone, no one is killed, because Bhagavad Gita says that he is not self-realized. Okay, he is self-realized. That's why he's talking on the level of soul. Maybe judge is not. So he's teaching just the self-realization. He is the Krishna Bhakt. Huh. Okay, so he knows all big philosophy which is not helping anyone. What else? What is the problem here? अभी अभी हमने just discuss किया है. Okay. Maybe he can. Who knows? Maybe he can give life to anyone, not anyone, right? मतलब जेल से बाहर आने के बाद में भी हाँ ब्रो
Attila is killing the people there from the war.
okay
Here he killed in different context. Maybe in different
but we don't know he murdered someone they were fighting or not. Maybe they were fighting, that's a war between two people. But what is the problem here? He says that I did not kill anyone. अभी हमने just इसके पहले just that of the video. हाँ मतलब he has actually killed the body, right? He has killed, not the soul but the body at least he has killed. So that's the problem here. That's the fallacy here. So
इसके अलावा दूसरा fallacy ये है कि Arjuna killed so many people, followed his dharma as a kshatriya.
वो उस पे बाद में आएंगे, हम उस पे बाद में आएंगे धर्म क्यों और वो क्या है. But only on the point of view of the murderer, he killed someone, at least the body, right? So the same thing a murderer can say, the same thing a butcher can also say that I did not kill any chicken or any whatever animal you can think of, bakra. Right? He can also say the same thing. So does this verse recommend violence? Why not? It says that soul is not killed. You cannot kill anyone and you are not the killer. If I am a realized person, let's say I am a realized person, I only think of my soul level. Can I keep on killing people? Or can I kill chicken and eat? Or whatever? What's the problem with that? Soul is immortal, right? And is not killing anyone. What's the problem in that? Killing a chicken.
karma respect for except so level पे karma भी respect for
क्या कर्मा का एस्पेक्ट क्या?
या बाहर अगर निकलिए तो फिर कर्मा भी एक इम्पोर्टेंट फैक्टर है. ये भी बस सोल सेल्फ रियलाइज है तो फिर उसी में फंसे दिन तो बैठ गए.
Okay, karma is one thing. What else? माते थोड़ा सा तेज बोल. सोल को किल नहीं कर सकता. ओ तो मतलब because he cannot kill the soul, then it's good to kill chicken. Soul तो kill हुआ ही नहीं. But it's not a human, right? क्या फर्क पड़ता है? हर किसी के अंदर सोल है. Okay, so if soul is immortal, then it does not justify killing of that, right? ऐसा आप लोग करें. One is karma, one is because he has killed the body, right? Anything else? किसी को भूख तो नहीं लगी ना ये देख के? Okay, that's good.
Material body for the material requirement.
Okay,
He can destroy the material body for the spiritual requirements are to establish value.
so that means the people who actually kill the bakra for देवी के बलि के लिए they are good. They are doing for spiritual requirement. अच्छा ठीक है. किसी ने ये सोचा कि मैं केवल बलि चढ़ाऊंगा लेकिन मैं खाऊंगा नहीं. Are they good? क्यों? अब तो वो अपने टंग के लिए भी नहीं कर रहा. और कोई कहेगा मैं इसको बस काट दूंगा लेकिन मैं पकाऊंगा ही नहीं, इसको फेंक देंगे, बरी कर देंगे. Are they good? तो मतलब that is important point. What authority? Right. So what is authority? Like when a soldier goes to border, right? He can kill people. Is that justified? He is also killing someone. If he cannot kill the chicken, can a soldier kill another soldier? Why? What is authority? Okay, so a butcher man, he got the instruction from a owner of the Sneha chickens chain ka, who is authority of Sneha chickens, right? Then he can kill. नहीं वो तो दूसरों के सेंस ग्रेटिफिकेशन के लिए कर रहा है. वो बेचारा बस काट रहा है, बाकी ले जाने वाले कोई और है. Is that justified? Then what is authority? We come to that definition.
So for the soldiers, Indian constitution is operated.
Okay.
It's
For soldier, constitution is authority, which is run by government.
okay.
Okay.
So again, Arjuna also came, but he did not get any karma or anything like that because Krishna asked him to go back. This is discussion between Krishna and Arjuna. Like after the war, he said like if you try to kill someone now when war is ended and just for your sense gratification, then you will get karma out of it. If you want to do that, that's why you are doing it. That's where karma will come. But if someone is doing it for the pleasure of Krishna or to establish dharma or to protect himself or protect the society with some authority, then it is right.
So authority will go discuss later what exactly is authority. But the point here is why one is justified, why one is not. Right. The points are correct. Like it will stuck into the cycle of karma. Right. That if I'm killing some animal, any jiva, for my sense gratification or even for other sense gratification without, we'll discuss authority kya hai, but without any instruction from authority, not Sneha chicken authority, right? Then yes, it's the same. And what it will happen that the problem here is first is like we will be stuck in the cycle of karma. If I'm killing someone, if I'm killing a jiva for my sense gratification, next line that one will be killing me like this. Someone is dropping the domino, in the end they will be dropped. Yes, madam. Hmm. Correct. Absolutely. No, Matari. Which what says that butcher ka karma ye karna hai? No, that's a job. You don't need to be in that job. There are hundreds of things. Which shastra says that a butcher, there has to be a butcher will kill the animal and eat it? Is there any shastra which says that? There are a lot of things which people do in the name of job. Doesn't mean that it's justified. Right? किसी का job है सड़क पे जाके गुंडागर्दी करना. That doesn't mean that it's justified. तो इसका ये मतलब नहीं माता जी कि कोई बुचर बन जाए ना. That's a very wrong understanding of this. Job की कमी है. Does that मतलब that way we can justify all the gangster as well. Because job की कमी है, they became sharpshooters. They started killing people and they are earning. Because they did not learn, so they became like that. And that's exactly the leftist mindset is. They all justify the Naxalism on the basis of this thing only, because there was no development, there's unemployment. That's why they are rebelling against the government and doing all those things. That's why they became. If you see all after any gangster is killed, all the Vampanthi cabal, they will reach there with that. He was the son of headmaster. He was very poor. He was like that because he did not get anything, because he was discriminated all life, and that's why he became like that. We cannot justify that. A poor person, right? They can also have hundreds of things. There are a poor person who is choosing to like bhik mangna, who is choosing to beg in front of a temple. There's another poor person who says that I'll go inside the temple, I'll clean the toilet, whatever I earn, I'll earn, but at least I'll do service for the temple. It's their choice. Another poor person, he takes like, आपने देखा होगा, there are some big flower sellers who have the big shop. Then there are some smaller ones जो नीचे बैठते हैं. Hardly 2 or 3 plastic they keep, and what they sell, they also survive. It's their choice. No Shastra compels them to become a butcher. If you go by Vedic injunction, the butcher, what we call is, the butcher at that time was not someone who kills the animal, but someone who actually gives the mistreatment to people, who did the violence, who did committed a sin, murder for murder. They were called butchers, not someone ki chicken kaat ke kha raha. Sneha chicken ka banda, that is not justified job. So that's not a correct point to say. Right. They can still decide. But if they decide, no, I want to be future, ऐसा नहीं कि they earn a lot. They can earn the same thing in many other jobs. But then it's their choice. Correct. It is all of this is wrong. Which companies? Okay, Sneha Chicken. Why is Sneha Chicken running? Because free will. God has given us free will. Like, forget about the companies thing. I'll not talk about the whole Hindu society also. There are many Brahmins and a lot of Brahmins. Even I was one of them, so I cannot take anyone else example. From childhood, I used to eat non-veg. Right, I left 2 3 years back only. Right, so it is our choice. No one forces us. मेरे घर में लोग खाते थे तो I also was eating until I actually left it. So because there are people who keeps, if there is a demand, there will be supply. Right, and these things are running because there is a demand. Even people who know about, like self-realized people, I am the soul, I am this, I am that. Things, सब कुछ जानने के बाद भी people eat all those things. What does it show? ज्ञान बहुत है लेकिन apply zero. देख मुझे सारा AI का मैंने सब कुछ पढ़ लिया. किसी ने AI का इंटरव्यू हुआ, कोड लिखने वाला हैं, ठीक मुंह खोल के बैठ के कुछ नहीं आता लिखते. So what's the use? Who will take that person as an AI engineer? Nobody. Right. So that's the problem. Because there's a demand, there will be supply. These companies are running because God has given us free will. You do what you want and then get stuck in this cycle. Because I do this, I will fall, I will like push one domino. In the end, it will fall on me only. This karma cycle will keep on going. Right. So we get stuck in the karma. So one important point comes here, like those all things matter when we think at the bodily level. Actually, when I say we have to think at the soul level, means everything at the soul level. At the soul level, even the karma does not matter. I'll tell you by one story. So Srila Prabhupada in US, they were searching for a temple space, and there was a place, mortuary, where post-mortem happens. They were getting it at very cheap price. So all his disciples and everyone was very afraid. अरे यहाँ पे कैसे करेंगे? This is a wall space, stained the blood के. It was not at all. मतलब you can think of what kind of place it would be. Right. So they were very afraid कि हम यहाँ पे कैसे कर सकते? This is not a sacred place. This is not a even क्या कहते हैं, a place where our thought process would be in a better way. So, but when Srila Prabhupada came to inspect that, he was like, oh, this platform looks good. यहाँ पे भगवान का altar रहेगा, यहाँ पे हम ये रखेंगे, वहाँ पे रखेंगे. He was not even worried about कि कहाँ पे blood का stain है, कहाँ पे क्या है, यहाँ क्या होता था. All he was thinking about Krishna कि कहाँ पे क्या रखेंगे, how beautiful the temple would. So the karma actually does not even matter when a person starts thinking on the soul level. It only matters if it is at the bodily level. And when actually we start, or anyone start thinking at the soul level, these all things really don't matter. Right? They will realize if they are killing a person, if they are killing any body that is in their, like they are stopping the life of that. Right? So that coming to that point, right? The problem with this is one is karma, right? Another point is who has given us authority to take life of that jeev? No one has, right? No scripture or God or spiritual master, they have not. If actually your spiritual master asks and comes to you to take life of the soul, you can do that. Given that your spiritual master is also realized, like in case of Arjuna, like Krishna as his spiritual master, he told, go and fight and kill those people. He can do that. But no one asks us to go and eat chicken. At least the realized spiritual master, they will never ask. Right? So that's a big problem here in this. And yeah, That's it. Right. So we'll go to the purport. When an embodied living entity is hurt by the fatal weapons, it is to be known that living entity within the body is not killed. Its soul is not killed. The spirit soul is so small that it is impossible to kill him by any material weapon, as will be evident from subsequent verses. So we discuss all this point. Nor the living entity killable because of its spiritual constitution. That means it's eternal. What is killed is supposed to be killed is the body only. The body only gets killed, not the soul. This, however, does not encourage killing of the body. The Vedic injunction is Mahim Syat Sarva Bhutani. That means never commit violence to anyone. That's what our Veda says. Right. Now our Vedas say that never commit violence against anyone. But here Arjuna is going to kill. One. Now that is again contradictory. It is contradictory, right? Vedas says that don't commit violence against anyone, but Arjuna is going to kill. What's the problem here? It came directly from Krishna. It is dharma, right? Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavad pranitam. So it is dharma. It is coming from God, higher authority, is allowed to kill. That's the next point. Nor does the understanding that the living entity is not killed encourage animal slaughter. Killing the body of anyone without authority is abominable and punishable by the law of the state. Right. So it's not only that I have to think of just dharma, because our Vedic injunction also say that if there are oppressors, you remember that slow. There are 6 types of oppressors who are allowed to be killed. Someone who has kidnapped your wife, someone who has burned the house, someone who has raised a weapon against you, that is self-defense, and all those. Someone who has burnt the house, I already told. Someone who has given the poison. Those are 6 kind of people who actually can be killed. So if we only go by the dharma, that means we'll start, or someone who has taken the property, फिर अगर ये प्रॉपर्टी वाला पॉइंट कोई लेके कर ले, आधी दुनिया तो साफ हो जाएगी. एटलीस्ट इंडिया में तो फंसे हो, राइट? Every single home has a property dispute, or at least 95% of it, right? Well, we all know in our home, in our extended family, where people are ready to kill if they follow this, right? So it's not just the dharma, but also state of the law. And killing of a lot of animal is not even allowed in the state of law. So we have to follow both. So it is punishable by law of state as well as by the law of God. Arjuna, however, is being engaged in killing of principle of religion and not whimsically. This is very important. What he is doing is dharma, the principle of religion. He is not someone like, चलो थोड़ा मजे करते हैं. He is not a serial killer की आज 4 लोग को खत्म कर देते. He is not like that warmonger. So he is doing under authority. Now authority बहुत बार आ गया. What does higher authority mean? What does it mean by higher authority? क्या लगता है आपको? मतलब शास्त्र आपकी अथॉरिटी है, आप ये कह रहे हैं, लेकिन शास्त्र तो आपको बोलने से रहे, मतलब शास्त्र तो आके आपको बोलेंगे नहीं, और हमें सारे शास्त्र पता भी नहीं. एंड इवन शास्त्र भी आप देखोगे तो we discuss that point. If you take 2-3 different types of shastra, they will be contradictory. Right? Niti shastra, arth shastra. Arth shastra says that you can, in certain condition, you can even kill your relative. Niti shastra says that you cannot kill. There are a lot of contradictions. Guru. And who are the guru? Who is the guru? जो तत्व ज्ञानी, प्रभु जी तत्व ज्ञान पे ही आ जाएगा. ओके, जो तत्व ज्ञानी हो वो गुरु है. That's correct, right? Someone who has knowledge of the shastra, right? So guru is the one which will give us shastra, right? So someone who has the knowledge of their field, they are called higher authority. Like an example we can take, who is the higher authority of cricket? Huh? MCC, ICC, right? You can say even if you want to know a person, you can say like if Sachin Tendulkar is coming and saying something about cricket, he is higher authority because he has full knowledge of that, right? So if Sachin is saying something, then we can like, हाँ भाई Sachin बोल रहा है, and we cannot say कि नहीं नहीं नहीं. We'll accept as is. If doctor is saying something, we'll say okay, doctor is saying, then he must be right. So that they are the higher authority who has the knowledge of the person. Now, coming to the Sneha chicken guy, right? Coming back again to that, the person who is the owner of Sneha chicken or who is the manager of the chain, is that person actually knowledgeable? What do you think is? He's not knowledgeable. He may have knowledge of how to run the shop, but he's not the knowledge. He's not in the knowledge of the shastras about the dharma and all those things. So his authority is not really an authority in the spiritual sense. Right, in the material sense it can be, but in the spiritual sense his authority is not an authority. So thinking that he is also an authority, that's not correct. Right. So his authority does not matter. So authority means someone who is in perfect knowledge of his field or the things. Not everyone can be an authority. So that's important point to do. And Arjuna is doing as we all discussed because God has asked him, Lord Krishna has asked him to do, and that's why he is doing. Now, something very interesting. Any questions till here? We discussed that our Shastra does not permit killing of anything, right? The killing of any jiva. Any question? All those things we discussed. कोई question? Well, I'm waiting for one question. Chicken center. Prabhuji, government ki authority is to run the government. If government is running into the business, that is not government's authority. That is just collecting taxes. It's not authority you open the chicken shop and kill. Even if instead of chicken shop you will open a क्या कहते हैं गेहूं की shop, then also government will come and collect tax from you. All they want is tax. They don't care कि आप run कर रहे हो. You have a commercial space, give them tax. They'll be happy. Right. And the government should not be in business. Very controversial thing. But we are suffering because government is trying to be in business. But yeah, that's a topic of another discussion. But any other question? Now we are talking about our shastras permit not killing of animal. Any question around that? Huh? What about other shastra? Right. What about other shastra? There are religions where shastra says that eat, drink, and be merry. Right. Shastra says that, right? There are other shastra. I will not call them shastra. Sorry. Their book, their holy books. They say that about you can kill and eat. What about them? That's a question. Very valid question. The other religions it permits. आप यहाँ तो बोल रहे कि हमारे नहीं करते. What's the problem with that? क्या आपको लगता है? हाँ? Violence है, okay.
उसके केस में एक एग्जांपल हम लेंगे इसमें. यीशु के टाइम पे जब he went to some desert somewhere, वहाँ पे कुछ खाने के लिए नहीं था, but they only had some bread and fish. तो what he did, like वो fish curry बनाया और fish और bread खाया सब, even यीशु himself, by eating God's son also. But he did not recommend it, or उन्होंने उसको document किया, and उन्होंने ऐसे authority मान लिया कि उन्होंने किया तो we can also like we don't consider the condition why they did it. We just consider like उन्होंने किया तो हम भी करेंगे, उन्होंने किया क्योंकि उसको खाने के लिए कुछ देता, हम करेंगे मजे के.
Exactly. That's one thing to understand. Right, but we are talking about just the scriptures of other religion. What does it say?
Yes, yeah.
The first commandment of Christianity is, thou shalt not kill. You should not kill. Right, so that's also very debatable topic. it's a very straightforward. Someone asked Srila Prabhupada about like in Christian, we are Christian, we eat knowledge. Our Shastra says that. Srila Prabhupada told that, no, what is your first commandment? He said, thou shalt not kill. What does it say? You should not kill. Then why do you kill and eat? He said, no, but that means only for human. He said, where it's written, it means only for human. It's not. But people use it. कि हम होता है ना कि for our convenience if it works fine I will use as is मतलब जहाँ पे जैसी जरूरत हो शास्त्र को ऐसे घुमा के will use it those wordings ठीक है मुझे अच्छा लग रहा है कि मुझे खाना है तो I'll put it is only for human मुझे नहीं खाना है तो no it's for everyone right but it is straightforward thou shall not kill that is the first commandment huh? एक कोई question right now I'll take you something very interesting in Islam right they say like हमारे तो सास डायरेक्टली कहते हैं eat बलि दो ठीक है कुर्बानी and all those things everything is written in hadith Quran and everywhere now something very interesting there is a we know all people go for Hajj right they go to Makkah for Hajj so around Makkah people come from different directions there is a called place or the boundary around Makkah it's called Miqat M-I-Q-A-T right it may be 100 kilometers from Makkah 80 kilometers depending on which side it is when people actually enter the Miqat place that boundary when they crosses these are the rules they have to follow what are those rules men must not shave their head and it should be uncovered right well they are not allowed to cut nails and all those things men cannot wear stitched garments. Does anyone know what does sannyasi wear?
Not stitched.
There, the dhoti and the angvastra they wear that has to be unstitched. Right. What else? Male pilgrims cannot cover upper part of both feet. मतलब socks नहीं पहन सकते या covered shoe नहीं पहन सकते. What they can wear? Open slippers like खड़ाऊ. Right. Women cannot cover their faces. मतलब पूरा face नहीं cover कर सकते जिसके लिए तो मार काट हो जाता है आजकल. Right. But there it's not allowed. Their forehead should be visible. Right. They cannot cover their faces. Pilgrims are forbidden from engaging in marital relations. Even they cannot have the sex life also. That's also prohibited. Right. Or plucking grasses or plants or hurting or hunting animals. Very important. They cannot hurt or hunt animals. And then this one is not important. They cannot use scent. So what does all these things, when you see that, what does it look like to you? It looks like nothing but a devoted Vaishnava, right? It is quite similar to what sannyasis do. They don't do all those things. They clean shave their head, right? So that they don't put scent and all. They don't wear the command. But that is not something which is very important. They don't have relations. Like they cannot. They are. They obviously like sex life is prohibited for them and all those things. This is exactly what our religion follows. So, if and that is the state, their most sacred place. It's called the state of Irham, the rules of Irham. Right. Irham is that particular state when they cannot do all those things. And that's called the most sacred place, most sacred stage when they cannot do this. When at that point of time they cannot do those things, what permits that when you come out of it, you are allowed to do all those things? It shows that this is the highest state, even in Islam, where these things are not allowed. Right. So very interesting. Even they follow the similar kind of thing, but only few can do. Not everyone does it. And when they come out of it, they are like, eat, drink, and be merry. Drink to nahi hai, sorry, but eat. मैं बताऊंगा वो. ठीक. I'll come to that. The second picture is a monastery, Christian monastery. So I shared one video with Prabhuji last time. Have you heard? No. So in monastery, when it is Orthodox monastery or a lot of monastery, Christian monasteries, where people are monks and nuns there, they don't eat non-veg. They only, especially like most of the monastery, not all. Some, the newer ones, they actually don't follow that. But the older one, Orthodox ones, right, they don't eat non-veg there. They only and only eat veg. That also in very regulated manner. Now, why? So, when I was researching, there's something very interesting came up here, thanks to ChatGPT. Gemini actually, not ChatGPT. Right. So, in their scripture, there is a mention of the book of Genesis. That's their scripture, the origin of the life, book of Genesis. There is a mention of the garden of God, garden of Eden, not God, garden of Eden. And in that garden, it is mentioned that the God's original diet for both humans and animals was vegetarian. This is often seen as the perfect or intended state of creation. That's mentioned in their book. What is the God's and humans' perfect diet? Vegetarian. That is their scripture. There is another scripture which talks about peaceful kingdom. Isaiah, the book of Isaiah. It is mentioned. There is a mention of peaceful kingdom, and what it says that in that kingdom, animals like lion and the lamb live together and eat plants. Is also cited. This supports the idea that the ultimate state of creation will be vegetarian. So if anyone, now why I'm adding this? If anyone asks you that my religion says that, tell this. Then why don't you eat? Actually, they can eat in the first one. In that state, they can eat non-veg. Nowadays, they started eating non-veg. They just don't kill. They cannot do qurbani because again, convenience. How can I live without non-veg? But initially, it was not even allowed. You cannot eat non-veg. Nowadays, the things are changing, right? But it was not allowed. So, at the highest stage in any religion, hurting animal, killing animal is not allowed at all. I have taken the two of the most prominent religions apart from Hinduism, right? They also state the same thing, right? So if anyone asks you, you have the point. And also, like one very interesting thing, another one. Have anyone knows what is Lent? There is a period of Lent which comes, especially if someone who has visited Kerala or they have Christian friends, they might know the period of Lent. It comes around Easter sometime, December sometime. It comes.
February, March.
Ah, yeah. January, not
February,
March,
as well.
March also.
It comes for 45 days.
Correct. Yeah, it starts somewhere around January and it goes to
Till April it goes.
April. Okay.
March.
So maybe I'm confused about the period. In that also, the Christians, the strong Christian, they don't eat non-veg. Now, what is something which allows you not to eat at some point of time, allows you to eat at all other point? It does not actually. It is just, like you said, taste of the tongue. Nothing else. Even their scripture do not allow. So, highest stage of spiritual stage at any religion also promotes vegetarianism and not killing of an animal. Right. So, quickly we'll go to the second verse. Before going to second verse, when was Krishna born? The question. When was Krishna born? Huh? Krishna Janmashtami. Okay.
5,200.
प्रभु जी थोड़ा और एडवांस में जा रहे कि he was not born, he was appeared. When were you born? मतलब ठीक है, तो आप ऐसे बता सकते हैं approximate 30 to 35 years, ऐसे आप बता सकते हो. मतलब when were we born? We say na happy birthday. 2015 when you were born? Only 10 years old. Okay. So he was born in 2015. So that's what. Actually. Okay, so we'll go to the next one to understand that. When were we born? Correct. न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित् न्यायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्य शाश्वतो अयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित् न्यायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्य शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे. So translation by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. For the soul, there is neither birth nor death at any time. Right? So you're not born. Okay? If you think at soul level, not 2050. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. It's complex, है? Or it's easy to understand? Easy to understand? Then what does it mean by has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being? What does this mean? Easy to understand, right? बताइए. What does this mean? The highlighted portion. Anyone? कोई? आपको क्या लगता है? सोल के बात पूरी बात ही सोल पे ही हो रही है. But what? Soul का क्या? He is not come into being, does not come into being, will not come into being. मतलब प्रेजेंट टेंस आप बोल रहे हैं. बट क्या तो है इट एग्जिस्ट. तो इसके लिए इतना बड़ा न था न है न रहेगा तो क्या मतलब है? ओके. और जिसके कर्म खत्म हो गए, जो वैकुंठ में चला गया, वो तो व्हाट डज इट मीन? वही तो मैं पूछ रहा हूँ. आप लोग सही हो, बट व्हाट डज इट मीन? इटर्नल है मतलब इट वाज ऑलवेज देयर. ऐसा नहीं कि वो कभी आया. सो समटाइम वी आस्क ना कि सोल कब आए. व्हेन वाज द सोल born? It was never born. So when we say when were you born, you were never born. You were always there. It's just your body which came into being. As a soul, you were never born. So when we say Krishna, कब आए कृष्ण जन्माष्टमी पे, right? So कृष्णा अवतरित हुए कृष्ण जन्माष्टमी पे. That we understand कि हाँ वो आए थे, वो चले गए. But even at our level, we have to understand that we were never not there. जैसे भगवान भी पहले के वर्ष में बोलते हैं, राइट, चैप्टर 1 में, कि these all kings were always there. Right, whom you are going to kill, they were always there. No one is new here. So we were never. So the Saswat word which is used is Saswatoam Purano. So what is Saswat? What is Puran? Saswat मतलब eternal. Puran मतलब उसका एज पुराना हो गया. Like old, like I'm getting old. We all are actually. But मुझे लोग ज्यादा समझते हैं. That's good. I get a lot of respect in that way, especially in office. So what does Puran means? Old. Yes, it means old. It actually means oldest. Right. It's a very, very old. It's that old that it never came into being. It was always there. So Kind of meaning same thing. Shashvat, it was always there and it is very, very old. Right. And he is unborn, eternal, and ever existing, primeval. Same thing. Again repeated. He is not slain when the body is slain. We already discussed that when the body goes, the soul does not die. It's just the body will die. We'll go to the pervert. We will go to the pervert. Because it was always there. Because Krishna says that. That's it, right? How else would you know? If someone comes and says that you are in physics, right? Scientist says that Earth came around 4.6 billion years ago. They say that you have to accept it. How else you will say no, it was not? Prove it. Carbon dating, how? Even your carbon will not survive for that one. What instrument can take carbon dating of 4.6 billion years old? Carbon dating is what? When your half-life goes, when the life, the radioactivity or activity goes half by half by half. It will be that small that even any instrument cannot measure that. 4.6 billion years old, that's what we are talking about here. Carbon dating cannot prove that. Forget about 4.6 billion years old. Even carbon dating cannot prove 20, 30,000 years old thing and with complete accuracy. We are talking about billions here. Carbon dating is not a way. Because you cannot measure that. Half-life is divided into half-life so many times, millions of times that you cannot measure that. There is no instrument which can measure this level of activity. So धर्मम तो साक्षात भगवत प्रणीत भगवान बोल रहे चुपचाप एक्सेप्ट करिए देयर इज नो अदर वे और यू कैन गो एंड प्रूव इट और क्या कर सकते राइट ही इज सेइंग दैट वी आर ऑलवेज देयर बिकॉज़ गॉड इज ऑलवेज देयर ही इज अनादिर आदिर गोविंद सर्व कारण कारणम वी आर पार्ट एंड पार्सल ऑफ गॉड सो विल ऑलवेज बी देयर राइट you see that if laptop we're talking about, we can take example of laptop, right? When the laptop came into existence, if we say that this was manufactured in 2022, then if someone say that when this keyboard was manufactured, you'll say 2022. That's a part of laptop. So if God is eternal, we are eternal because we are part and parcel of God. So we don't have to think too much. So here one word comes kutast. Right. Kutast means something which does not change. So here we are talking about soul, right? Not the body. Now, when we talk about body undergoes through 6 changes. Correct? We discussed that in devices. It takes birth, it goes through growth, then it maintains itself, then production of byproduct, it dwindles, and then any jiva's body, right? Then these 6 changes all the living body undergoes through. Now let's take the same thing on the level of soul. The body gets born. How about soul? How about soul? Soul, yeah, same. Soul gets born. Soul does not get born, right? It was always there. यही तो यहाँ लिखा है. He is never coming to be, does not coming to be, will not coming to be. Soul is always there. Soul was always there. He was never born, right? Then growth. Does soul grow like the body grow? कि छोटे बच्चे में छोटा सोल, बड़े बच्चे में बड़ा सोल. Does not happen. Soul never grows. Its size is always same. Maintenance. Your body needs some things to survive. The soul needs something to survive. Then why are we doing bhakti? It does not need something to survive. That's a food for soul, right? Then why are you doing bhakti? Soul को कुछ चाहिए नहीं. It is.
We are covered with
We are covered by subtle
subtle body.
body. So you are saying that we are doing bhakti for those subtle body, not for the soul. Okay, to break that subtle body so that soul can be free. That's why we are doing bhakti. Okay. What else? सर मैं वो फॉलो कर रहा हूँ ठीक है माता जी, क्या बोल रहे थे याद रहता है to remind ourselves, right? So correct, the soul does not need maintenance, it does not need anything to survive, but it needs something to direct ourselves to the correct way, to guide ourselves, right? Otherwise soul is like, we saw that ना, एक ड्राइवर गाड़ी चला रहा है जहां मन करे वहां लेके जाएगा, ठीक, free will, I'll do whatever I want. So that bhakti is something which shows us the path. So it does not need anything to survive. The maintenance is not applicable for the soul. But bhakti we are doing to get to the right path. Then the production of byproducts. What is that? Byproduct. Children. That's byproduct of any jiva. Now, interesting thing. When we give birth to a child, don't we give birth to a new soul? Why not? Soul is always there in our body. मतलब एक से ज्यादा है. We say ना कि हम एक नए लोग को दुनिया में लेके आए. When we say लोग मतलब soul, this means we are giving birth to a body, to a new soul. Is that means that? Can a soul produce another soul? That is the question. Right. So answer is no. So when we give birth to a new baby or anyone, after at certain point of time the soul enters the body of the baby. Right? It's not like a soul will get created from somewhere, and that is why it is important in this verse. He has not come into being. So when someone says a soul came into being when the new child came, that's not correct. Soul was always, it just enters the body. Right. So production of byproduct is again a quality of the body, not of the soul. It's, and then dwindling, our body dwindles, we are all getting old. Every birthday we are like one less year to go back to Godhead. Think positively. Right. Why are you sad? One less year. One less year to go back to Godhead. Right? Our body dwindles. How about soul? Does it get old? But we just said it's a Puran, Puratak Puran. That means oldest. If it does not get old, then how it is oldest? Huh? It was always there. That means it's getting old, right? सोल पे काल का प्रभाव नहीं होता. Important thing. Actually, yes. Right. When it says old age, it actually talks about the time. Right. The time wise, when you think it is oldest, but then it does not get old. That's why when you talk to some old people, अभी तो मैं जवान हूँ. Right. They say that, right? I may be looking old, but I'm young in my spirit. Maybe I will not be able to do 10, but you ask me, I can tell you 10 things how to do it. Right. So the soul actually does not get old, and that's why a lot of qualities of the soul, if it is unchanged by constant knowledge or constant association of things, if it is not done, then it remains same. We discussed the story of a person, right? एक बुड्ढा था जो death bed पे था. So there was one old guy who was on deathbed, right? And his youth he was a turkey guy, right? Who used to do all kind of nonsense. But then when he was deathbed, so one of his friends came to meet him along with his daughter. अब वो कहीं जा रहा था तो कहा चलो तुम भी मेरे साथ चलो. उसको 5 मिनट में देख के निकल लेंगे. And this guy on the deathbed, he's just going to die. But where is his mind? On the daughter. Even though he's going to die, his soul, the qualities of soul does not change. So that's why a lot of things, life after life remains the same for human being. Because the soul does not age, it does not change. Right. So that's how we can actually understand this thing. And then ultimately the death. Body dies, but the soul does not. It's eternal. So whatever changes the body goes throughout the life, the soul does not go through all these changes. It is exactly opposite of that. Right. So that's when we can understand this verse. हाँ क्वेश्चन बताइए मुझे लगा आप क्वेश्चन पूछ हाँ Madhuri, we need things to maintain our body. You need food. If you'll not eat food, will your body be maintained? But do you need any food for soul? If you'll not eat anything, does your soul die? You will die, but your soul? So does your soul need anything to survive, to come into being, to sustain? भक्ति वाला पार्ट सो एक्चुअली सोल डज नॉट जो लोग भक्त नहीं किया वो नहीं जीते हैं क्या दे आल्सो सर्वाइव राइट व्हाट डज इट प्रूव सोल डज नॉट नीड भक्ति टू सर्वाइव बट सोल नीड्स भक्ति टू गो टू द वैकुंठ टू गो टू द राइट पाथ अदरवाइज सर्वाइव तो सब कर रहे जी तो सब रहे दैट्स द पॉइंट the soul does not need anything to maintain itself right but the bhakti is something which is guiding to the right path right where it has to go. That was the point. Any question? Any other question? मतलब वो कभी आया नहीं था पास्ट टॉकिंग अबाउट पास्ट वो कभी आया नहीं था देयर वाज नो टाइम दैट सोल वाज बोर्न कभी आया नहीं था देयर इज नो टाइम दैट सोल इज गेटिंग बोर्न प्रेजेंट टाइम like we are saying कि बच्चा पैदा किए तो नया सोल आ गया there is no time a soul is being born and there is no time that soul is going to get born in future there's all the soul are always there okay. अनंत काल से वो हमेशा है ऐसा नहीं कि मैं बॉर्न होगी कि भगवान के उस समय 5000 टुकड़े हो गए थे अब थोड़े एक और टुकड़ा हो जाएगा एक और नहीं it means that it does not happen like that it was always there and only those will remain. It means that. That's what God is saying. हाँ सोल ने कभी जन्म नहीं लिया माता जी वो स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट इतना पुराना अनइमेजिनेबल फॉर अस है ठीक there is no shastra which tells that when actually God ने अपने वो बनाए पार्ट में yes certainly it came from God when no shastra tells that there is no timeline and ऐसा होता है ना कि आप सेकंड से कोई पूछे कितने सेकंड पहले तुम जन्म लिए थे क्या बोलोगे will you tell कहोगे अरे इतना पुराना था I cannot tell you something it is like that वो इतना ज्यादा पुराना when nothing was there souls were there in the world जब सृष्टि में नहीं थी तब भी सोल थे it was not like सृष्टि बनने के बाद सोल है उनके लिए सृष्टि बनाई गई तो the spiritual world was always there souls were always there enjoying their life serving Krishna right but when they got desire they came into being when they got desire that timeline no one knows that old that means it's Puran oldest it means that so the Kutastha word is important that way that means it does not change yeah I think we discussed all those points so the same verse also comes in Katha Upanishad in exactly same wordings also except just one word so na jayate mriyate va vipaschin nayam kutaschin vabhut kaschin ajo nitya saswatoyam purano na hanyate hanyamane sarire the only one word change here is vipaschin actually not kutaschin है इसमें कदाचित है वो same word it is same meaning right but this word vipaschin that comes here the same meaning the knowing self is not born it does not die It has not sprung from anything. Nothing has sprung from it. Birthless, eternal, everlasting, and ancient. It is not killed when the body is killed. It talks about exactly same thing. So why Prabhupada? So Prabhupada added this in his purport, this particular verse. Why do you think he has put this? The references from Katha Upanishad. What do you think he has done here? Citation, yes. It is that ऐसा नहीं कि भगवान ने कहीं से उठा के कुछ भी अपने मन से वो लिख दिया. He also cites, he has also cited in Bhagavad Gita all the scriptures, the other scriptures, as it is, same wordings, right? All the same meanings here and there, a little bit, right? Exactly as is. So it proves one very big point that Shastra, we should also follow the Shastra, or scriptures, right? Because even God also follows the same. That's a lesson for us. These are not some made up things, these are not mental concoction, but also coming from the Shastric Vedic knowledge. Okay. So, Vipastin we were discussing, right? Vipastin means Vipastin here. Wow, Vipastin. Vipastin means which is already having knowledge. That's very important thing. We understood that about being born and all those things, eternal and all those things. But this is another adjective for the soul. Something which is already enlightened, something which is already having knowledge. What does it mean? What do you think it means? His soul already has the knowledge. Knowledge of what? About its relationship, about God and all those. Right? Yes, soul already has all this knowledge. जो 5 question हम generally discuss करते हैं, who am I? Hey, why I am here? What is my purpose? How to go back? All those things. Soul already has the knowledge. But like you told, it has the covering, subtle body, mind, intelligence, and ego, false ego. We have forgotten because of the influence of those. Right. So this verse also says that the soul is already knowledgeable. But just because it was covered by ignorance and it has forgotten things. Now, forgotten things is very important. So, we'll discuss that after this one. Right. So, consciousness we already discussed, so we'll not go in detail for this. Now, Katha Upanishad in 1.18, even one verse before that, what it says that both the super soul, Paramatma, and the atomic soul, Jivatma. So, use the word Adu and Vibhu. Right. Those two words Srila Prabhupada uses in his purport. Adu and Vibhu. Adu means atom, Atma. Vibhu means Paramatma. Right. So both the super soul, Paramatma, and atomic soul, Jivatma, are situated on the same tree of the body, within the same heart of the living being, and only one of those becomes free from all material desires, as well as lamentations can, by the grace of Supreme, understand the glories of the soul. Right. So he uses two words, Adu and Vibhu. Adu means Atma, Vibhu means Paramatma. And how we can understand Adu and Vibhu. And it's also said that both are living in the heart. So we discussed last time that soul and super soul both are living in the heart. And when we discussed about the size of soul, 1 by 10,000 of a tip of hair, what is the size of Paramatma then? Anyway, that's not a question. I'll just tell. I thought if anyone knows. So, what our Shastra says that the size of Paramatma or Vibhu is actually like the size of thumb of our body. It is of that size. But you can ask, अमीबा में तो thumb नहीं होता है, चींटी में भी thumb नहीं होता है, और trees में भी thumb नहीं होता है. Then how we can measure? So just think is the proportionate. Your body, your thumb, that size is your Paramatma in the body, and both are living in the heart. And now when you think that the difference in size of Adu and Vibhu, how how big it is. Think of the 1 by 10,000 of hair versus the thumb. Right. So Adu means infinitely small, infinitesimal, what it's called, right? And विभु means infinite. मतलब एक infinitely small है और दूसरा infinitely large है. That is the size difference between Atma and Paramatma, right? Size wise. So Adu और विभु का यहाँ पे इसलिए that's why the reference was given, right? An important point comes here is only one what the Upanishad says that what is the qualification to understand the glories of the soul? I'm not even talking about glories of the Lord here. To understand the soul, what is the qualification? So this particular sloka says that only one who has become free from the material desires, जिसके अंदर कोई material desire नहीं है, and also the lamentations. ना तो desire है कि I want this, ना ही lamentation है why did this happen to me, and by the grace of Supreme, only that person can understand the glories of the soul. He only can truly realize the soul and how it works. Right, all those things. Without that, it's impossible to understand the soul. So when we say someone is thinking at the soul level, not just because someone knows that I'm not this body, I'm the soul, it does not mean they're thinking at the soul level. Because these two conditions they have to fulfill to get actually on the platform of the soul level. What are the two things? Free from material desires and lamentations. Right? And yeah. And by the grace of the Guru or Supreme. And how can we get the grace of Supreme? How do we know Krishna हमें grace provide कर रहे? By following what he says, okay? What else? But फिर भी आपको नहीं पता चलेगा if you are following his providing his grace or not. How else? How would you know?
We are getting association of the
We are getting association, but okay, that is a grace actually. Yes, true. But someone who is not associated, then how they can say they are getting grace of Lord? That is one thing. Yes. The first condition. आप second condition पे आइए कि कृष्णा डायरेक्टली आपको ग्रेस तो देने नहीं जा रहे. How would you know you are getting grace of Krishna?
that person try to see Krishna's hand in every situation. He think like if something bad is also happening, then Krishna wants me to do it so that I can. He develop that kind of thought.
But those all things are correct theoretically, but practically when you say if you are actually getting grace of your Guru, who is Guru? The representative of Krishna. If you are getting grace of Guru, you are getting grace of Krishna. A very simple way to understand that. Right? If you are not getting grace of a Guru, you don't have any Guru in your life, you are not getting grace of Krishna. That's a very simple way to understand this. All you are saying is absolutely correct. Right? These all things follows. Right? But the first thing is like you have to get the grace of Guru because he is the bona fide representative of Krishna. Right? And that's the way we can understand it. Right. So this one we already discussed. So Krishna is the fountainhead of the super soul and will be disclosed in the following chapters. And Arjuna is the atomic soul. Forgetful is the real nature. Now forgetful term come here. So one more difference apart from size between Adu and Vibhu or soul and super soul is as a soul we are forgetful. Right? We forget. अभी आपसे पूछे 4 दिन पहले क्या खाया था? Would you remember? नहीं याद है. Right. While at the super soul, it does not forget anything. तो हम कहते हैं चित्रगुप्त ने लेखा जोखा सब लिख रखा है मतलब that's true, but actually who watches, who never forgets is the Paramatma. Right? He watches everything what's happening and he never forgets. So he is the supreme. That's why it's called supreme conscious. He is conscious of all things, every single thing what is happening in the whole universe, in the whole body, everywhere. Right? So that's one difference. We forget, and the Paramatma he does not forget. And this point which we discussed, therefore it requires to be enlightened by Krishna or by the bona fide representative, which is nothing but a spiritual master. That is the grace. And this forgetful and unforgetfulness, this is the same philosophy what we have Achintya Bheda Ved also. That being a soul, having the same properties, we are qualitatively same as Paramatma or the Supreme Lord. But quantitatively, we are not the same. Achintya Bheda Ved. We are same, yet we are different. We are same by quality, eternal, indestructible, all those things. Right, what we discussed. It does not change, it was never born, all those things. But where we differ, we are forgetful thing. And we get under influence of Maya thing. We do not have the same potency as the Lord has. So those ways we are differ. We differ. And all right. So there was one story of Crazy Peter. I don't know if anyone has heard of this. You are laughing. So there was one. So talking about Atma, right? He, there was one person in Srila Prabhupada's when he was in US, and this person was that dirty that even hippies don't used to sit near him. But Srila Prabhupada always used to make him sit beside him, and then he used to give lecture. All the time this person was sleeping. And then this his disciple asked him, like, Srila Prabhupada, क्यों इसको यहाँ बैठाते हो? तो सोता रहता है. He does not even listen. ठीक और तो और बदबू भी आती है. मतलब, why do you do that? So what Srila Prabhupada says that, मतलब, he did not say anything, right? Well, he would have told something, but we are not going to that. He's like, you tolerate. What he does, you just tolerate. Is there any problem in tolerating him? Actually, those were his wife. So, who can say no? Okay. To Srila Prabhupada. So they're like, okay, tolerate. So after some time, he started like he was reading scriptures on the corridor of the temple. वहीं पे वो स्क्रिप्चर पढ़ते पढ़ते सो जाते थे टांग फैला के ठीक मतलब जैसे प्रभु जी टांग फैला के कोई बैठ के ठीक जैसे आराम से पैर फैला के स्क्रिप्चर पढ़ रहे कॉरिडोर में and then he sleeps there and the devotees like you someone wrote a letter also to Srila Prabhupada. He is sleeping there, people come and they see him, they feel like it is not a serious place and this and that, then just tolerate. So what happened after a couple of years, he actually took sannyas, right? He got initiated, not sannyas, like he got initiated, and his name was Kusakratha Das, and he translated hundreds of literature of from Sanskrit to English. He translated hundreds of literature to English, right? Even though he was sleeping, his soul does not sleep. His soul was always listening. Right? Body people were thinking he's sleeping, but soul was always listening. He was always getting the Sukriti. Right? And that transformed him. It does not mean you sleep in the class. Right? Because soul to सुन ही रहा है, let me sleep. Right? इसका ये मतलब बिल्कुल नहीं है. Right? But what it proves that the soul is always aware. He is full of knowledge. And when you keep on listening things again and again and again, time after time after time, like Prabhuji said, the subtle body, the mind, ego, and intelligence, the false ego, that gets reduced, right? And that gets destroyed actually. And then you come into your real knowledge. The story was to prove that point. Right. So to finish off this question, maybe you can answer, maybe you can keep it to yourself. Like knowing about the soul, about all the qualities of soul, about yourself, what do you think in your life having this knowledge will change? Food for thought for everyone. Right. What it will change for us, really. That's something for us to think about. Any question? Any other question? Right.